Thank you for those words, President Cruzado, and for your leadership and support of extension programs at your university and nationwide. Next up is the president of West Virginia University, E. Gordon Gee. E. Gordon Gee is among the most highly experienced and respected leaders in American higher education, having been named as one of the top 10 university presidents in the United States in 2009 by Time magazine. He chairs the American Council on Education's Commission on Higher Education Attainment and is a fellow in the American Association for the Advancement of Science, the world's largest and most prestigious science organization. He's been named the Outstanding Academic Leader on behalf of historically black colleges and universities. President Gee has served as a president or chancellor for more than 33 years at 5 different universities in all regions of the United States. Sounds like the man can't hold a job. Dr. Gee has a major presence on countless state and national higher education policy commissions and the American Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities. Dr. Gee has received scores of honorary degrees, awards, fellowships, and recognitions. He is the author of 11 books and has served as Judicial Fellow and Staff Assistant to the U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice Warren Burger. I've been a colleague and a friend of President Gee for more than 25 years. I consider him a friend, and so I'm going to take a little bit of license and stray from the reservation of this introduction and share with you a story about President Gee's time at The Ohio State University. My wife begged me to not share this tired story again, but she's on spouse's tour today, so please don't tell her. But like county agents, university presidents go to meetings and conferences like this, like you do. And a few years ago, when President Gee was president of Ohio State University, he found himself at a conference of university presidents. And he walked into the men's room, and he was there with 2 other university presidents doing what university presidents do in the men's room. And the first president got done and walked over to the sink, and he turned the hot water on full bore, and he scrubbed his hands real good, and he soaped up 3 or 4 times and put the hot water on again and scrubbed some more and dried his hands. And President Gee and the other university president looked over, and the guy said, "I'm president of the University of Wisconsin, where we teach our students to be very hygienic." So the next university president got done, and he walked over to the sink, and he turned the water on just a drop, took just a dab of soap, tore the paper towels in half and quarter, and just dabbed his hands. And President Gee looked over at him, and he said, "I'm president of Penn State University, where we teach our students to be very environmentally conscious." So then President Gee got done, and he bypassed the sink altogether, and walking towards the door, he said to no one in particular, "I'm president of The Ohio State University, where we teach our students not to pee on their hands." Ladies and gentlemen, would you join me in giving a warm welcome to a friend of county agents throughout the country, the president of West Virginia University, Dr. E. Gordon Gee.
Out of all the introductions I've received, that is certainly the most recent. In fact, I'll have to say something about Mike. I wasn't going to do this, but that story reminds me of a great story that I love to tell, which is a true story, by the way, about Chillicothe, Ohio. I've served twice as president of Ohio State University, as you know, 2 7-year terms, and escaped barely. I want you to know I do love Notre Dame and the Little Sisters of the Poor, but I just wanted to make that note. But anyway, that time their chief fundraiser, but so this is Chillicothe, Ohio, a great small town, and they were going to celebrate their centennial, and they decided, this was in the early 1900s, they decided they needed to have a speaker of worth, and so they thought about it and thought about it for a while, and finally they determined to ask William Howard Taft. Now, those of you who remember your Ohio or national history, remember William Howard Taft was the governor of Ohio, then the governor general of the Philippines, and then was elected president of the United States, and then rose to that highest of offices, we lawyers believe at least, and that was, he was the Chief Justice of the United States. So they sent him a telegram, please come and speak, and he accepted, and so all of a sudden they looked around, they said, well, we have no one distinguished enough like Mike to introduce him. And so they thought about it for a while, and they decided that they were going to settle on a fellow by the name of Chauncey Depew. I love the name, Chauncey Depew, very famous New Yorker, Wall Street lawyer, elected to the United States Senate, and was not reelected. And so instead of going back to Wall Street, he made his living by going around the country in great expositions of of speeches about various topics, and so they invited him to come and introduce William Howard Taft. And so on the day they all arrived, and they're on the stage, and Chauncey Depew started his introduction. But unfortunately, unlike Mike's, it went on for 45 minutes. I mean, people were falling off their seats. They were snoozing. It was anything they could do to be able to make it through that introduction. And finally, Chauncey Depew turns to William Howard Taft and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the Chief Justice of the United States." Now, one of the things you have to remember about William Howard Taft is not only was he a great American, he was a large American. He weighed well over 300 pounds. He was huge. And so Chauncey Depew says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the Chief Justice of the United States, a man pregnant with ideas, a man pregnant with opportunities." And he sits down, and poor William Howard Taft waddles up to the stage and pats his stomach and says, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, if it be a boy, I'll name him William. If it be a girl, I'll name it Kathleen. But if it be a boy, or I'll get this right. If it be but if it be gas, I'll name it Chauncey Depew." So there we go. Nearly blew that one, didn't I? Mike, thanks for that joke. It reminded me of you. But anyway. And why, in hell's sake, did you make me follow Dr. Cruzado? Great speech. Thank you very much. I really give her a round of applause, would you please? Now, you know, she looks like a university president. I mean, she's distinguished. She has, that kind of distinguished look, and it's always been a challenge for me. I remember walking across campus. I'm brand new at West Virginia University. I'm walking across campus. This was just about a year and a half ago when I was just there on an interim. I had been teaching at Harvard University, and so I was there about one day, and I'm walking across. There's a little bit of cold in this, and I see these two young ladies, obviously freshmen, chatty Cathys, they're looking like this, and they're talking with each other, and all of a sudden they looked at me, and one of them recognized me. I thought, oh, this is fabulous. I've only been here about 3 hours, and she recognizes me. But it was too cold, so I didn't stop and talk to them. I just kind of nodded, and they nodded at me, and I got about 10 yards beyond them, and I heard one of them whisper to the other. She says, "Kathy," she said, "wasn't that Orville Redenbacher?" But the same thing has happened to me. I'm running through the, these are all true stories, by the way. By the way, you're a good audience to heck with all this other stuff. But anyway, I'm running through the O'Hare Airport about 3 months ago, and this woman stops me, literally pulls on my suit. She says, "I want your autograph." I thought, well, how fun, I'll give her my autograph. And so I stopped and I wrote E. Gordon Gee, and she said, "Gordon Gee," she said, "who in heck's sake are you? I thought you were Lou Holtz." So anyway. So after 35 years as a university president, I get a lot of questions about what it's like running a university, and so what I thought I'd do is just share a couple of those with you. I gave a speech recently about when I was out recruiting some students, etc., in an audience, and I talked about the fact that we were going to move the university from excellence to eminence, something that I've talked about in other places, and I thought I gave a pretty good speech, and then I got this note from Brad, who is from a small town in West Virginia. He said, "Dear President Gee, I am a senior in high school, and I'm trying to decide between Penn State and West Virginia University for college. Now I know. When I heard you speak recently, I was very impressed with your message about moving West Virginia University from excellence to impotence." He's going to Penn State. I want you to know that right now. And then these things happen. I received this note literally last week, and it just gave me heartburn. "Dear Dr. Gee, thank you so much for the flyers you sent on the occasion of my business expansion." Sending out notes or something university presidents do. As a West Virginia University alumnus, I appreciate the thought. However, I must tell you that the card accompanying the flyer said, "Rest in peace." There must have been some mistake, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. Well, I scrambled. I knew I was in trouble, so I finally wrote back, "Dear George, oh my, this means that somewhere there's a funeral taking place today with flowers and a note saying, 'Congratulations on your new location.'" So this one I love, though. So spring break on a college campus. What can you think about spring break? So this came last spring. Dear President Gay, I'm planning a spring break trip with my best friend from the University of Cincinnati, and we have enlisted 6 female cheerleaders to join us for the whole weeks in sunny Miami. But when we went to book flights, you can imagine my disappointment to find out that our colleges have conflicting spring break schedules. I am writing to ask if you could push West Virginia University spring break back a week. You're the only one with the power to make a 19-year-old man's dream come true of a half dozen girls in a remote beach house 1,200 miles away. But this was the line that I loved. It said, of course, sorry, I have to laugh about this. Of course, if you help out, you're more than welcome to join us. I had a great time in Miami, I want you to know that. Oh, this one I love. Dear President Gee, this was commencement. Dear President Gee, we are so very grateful for graduation day and that it has finally arrived. My wife and I, though, want to be fair about this. West Virginia University charged us tuition, but I figure any institution willing to take my son for 4 years deserves every penny it can get. So, one other thing. I am going to get serious here in just a minute, but I just have to do this. And I love to go read to schools, to grade schools. And it's just very empowering to me to see these little second and third graders. And so I went to North Elementary in Morgantown, West Virginia, just about 2 months ago, and so obviously the teacher had these little people send out notes, and this one is from Maria Foster. Dear President Gee, thank you for reading to us. It is always a pleasure to have someone read to you besides the mean librarian. We all enjoyed the book. You did a great job showing the pictures and speaking loudly. And then these are notes from Jamie Shent's class of these are third graders in Suncrest Elementary. A couple of months ago. Mr. Gordon, thank you for coming to visit. It was fun because you were almost the same size as us. Dear Principal Gee, I love that. Dear Principal Gee, it was fun to meet you. Thank you. Me and my friends Betsy want to know if you buy all of your ties from McDonald's or just the red ones. But this is the one I really loved. This one is classic. I probably will always have this one as my favorite. Dear Mr. Gee, thank you for giving us your time. I thought it was exciting and fun. I learned that looks can be deceiving. So is the life of a university president, and so is the life of extension also. So I love all of you, I really do. I have such great memories, such great expectations, such great fond thoughts about what extension is about. I grew up in a very small town, Vernal, Utah. It was the largest city between Salt Lake City and Denver, which is the same distances between Charlotte, North Carolina, and Boston, Massachusetts. Think about that. So I am a product of the American dream. A small town boy goes on to be able to do some remarkable things, not because of me, but because of what I learned from 4-H, and one of my favorite people is an extension agent. So I want you to know that today this is very special for me to be able to come and celebrate with all of you your 100th anniversary. I want to go back to what President Cruzado said for just a second, because I want to go back to 1862 for just a second. The height of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln should have been leaving Washington. Washington was under siege. The United States, the North, was losing the war. It was a terrible time in this country, and instead here was this visionary. This young man by the name, young farmer by the name, who was also a senator, by the name of Justin Morrell, came in to see him, and he said, Mr. President, now I wasn't there, some people think I was, but I wasn't there during this discussion. Mr. President, it's not simply about race, it's about access for everyone to the American dream. And that was exactly what it was about. Because at that time, the private institutions, the Harvard and the Yales, which did exist, they were only for the wealthy. And the public universities, of which there are very few that exist, the University of Virginia, University of North Carolina, they were only for the wealthy. They were not for the rest of us. The 95%. And 90% of those, by the way, were farmers at that time. And so along came this thing called the Morrill Act, the Land Grant Act. I believe, unlike some others, but I do believe that the Land Grant Act is the single most important act ever passed by Congress in the last 250 years, because what it did, it made our nation stronger. It gave us a reason for a democratic society. It provided an impetus for us to think and learn and work together. No matter who we are a polyglot. We're a nation of immigrants. What a fantastic thing that happened. And then, of course, the Hatch Act and the Smith-Lever Act. But now we come to today. So picture this. Back in West Virginia, there is a place called Monroe County, nestled in the southeastern corner of our great state. The old joke there is that if you leave your car door unlocked, you will come back to a bag of zucchini on your seat. The produce there is plentiful, as are the people and their generosity. This abundance of fruits and vegetables and meats in the county of 20,000 cattle and 12,000 humans meant a physical farmer's market for local farmers to sell their goods was a waste of time. Meanwhile, 133 miles away in the state capital of Charleston, there were cooks wanting fresh vegetables and locally raised meats, and of course you had the hipsters who are into the Eat Local initiatives. Our West Virginia University Extension, and by the way, I love that notion of West Virginia University Extension. My friends in Ohio can remember when I came to Ohio in 1990, it was Ohio Cooperative Extension Service. No one knew that the university, Ohio State, was the land grant institution, and that extension and 4-H and all of our other programs came. We need to, and this is a total aside, but we need to make certain that our universities and our extension programs are totally identified together. We are one, not divided. Our West Virginia University Extension, which works with small farms and farmers markets around West Virginia as part of its many agricultural programs, was able to connect seller with buyer by creating an online farmers market in addition to weekly or bi-weekly delivery services for customers. Based on what I just told you, think about how far we have come. We have gone from families setting up a table along the road trying to sell his luscious tomatoes and cabbages to the fact that now those same families can just box up whatever produce or meat or consumer desires, order through an iPhone app. Yes, indeed, an iPhone app. This online farmer market is a new concept for most people in West Virginia. And many farmers were unsure how their product would translate to the online world, cluttered with hashtags and memos. So it's all started with a simple spreadsheet. A group of Charleston customers who showed interest filled out their meals and their meal plans and their plans for meat and produce and the request on the spreadsheet, and emailed it to the market manager, who contacted farmers on what to bring and for whom. The program quickly evolved into a website where customers can log in, select items the farmers have available, and order for their groceries for the week. And I was not exaggerating earlier when I said that they could do that on an iPhone app. There is an app, in fact, on both an Android and an iPhone device. Today, the online Monroe Farmers Market has one person who drives product from the various farmers, the 133 miles to Charleston. The driver, Dan Copeland, along with his wife Jennifer, owns Indian Creek Farms. Before the online market, the couple did not have enough customers to purchase their lamb, their peppers, and their goat's milk soap. Now they do. To me, the purpose of that story is that this epitomizes the role of extension in the evolution of a modern American land-grant university. And I say that in the evolution of the modern land-grant university. Through our university extension services, we help connect the farmer with the consumer. The convenience and supporting of West Virginia farmers is paramount to our mission. Now let me give you just another example of what we are doing at West Virginia University with the help of our extraordinary extension faculty. And I apologize for bragging on them, but I just so appreciate what they do. Our University Extension Service oversees the statewide 4-H program. More than 80,000 West Virginia youths benefit from learning activities such as agricultural field days, camping, and science programs. Science in 4-H. Who would have thought of that? Yes, but that should not surprise you. Science has always been been a part of 4-H, but we have evolved by creating new opportunities for learning and discovery. Our hope is to spark a young person's interest in science or math at a camp or in a club, which will then continue into college and on into a career. Some of the opportunities presented include underwater robotics, measuring pH in local streams, solar-powered cars, and even flying quadcopter drones. I wish, by the way, that they'd had quadcopters. I'll get it right. Drones. I wish they'd had drones when I was growing up. I had an ant farm, and the damn ants died. One of the true gems of West Virginia University is our Canopy Tour, a network of 4 zip lines that is the first of its kind owned and operated at a university. At this Canopy Tour, teens get to ride the zip lines, scale an aerial bridge, and rappel down giant oak trees. Sounds like fun and games, but it's much more than that. The experience blends sport and science and high spirits with discussions of Newton's law of motion, gravitational acceleration, friction, and velocity. And while an outdoor canopy tour may not be associated with a traditional view of 4-H and extension, emphasis on science and technology and engineering and math, the so-called STEM disciplines, have become more than a norm in 4-H, not the exception. For many people, 4-H is a program associated with farming interests, and that is true. We will forever remain fans of the farm. But we also are providing programs, and this is the modern nature of extension, that meet the needs and interests of urban and suburban kids too. The 4-H STEM programs are one example of a 21st century extension service that fulfills the vision of the Smith-Lever Act of 1914, and we're fulfilling the vision of the future of extension. Extension, my friends, is an idea that has stood the test of time. For 100 years, extension has been helping land-grant universities keep pace with change and finding new ways to serve citizens. Now, as we launch into its 2nd century, extension has incredible potential. It has great power to help America solve its most pressing problems, from producing a safe food supply to promoting responsible energy use to training first responders. The civic sense that America needs can come only from a common educational effort. So as president of a land-grant university, it is especially crucial for me to be on the ground visiting at the neighborhood diners or visiting the various 4-H camps across the state myself. When I returned to West Virginia about a year and a half ago, I set out to visit all 55 counties of the state, not only to reacquaint myself with West Virginia, a beautiful state, but to see our state's challenges firsthand, of which there are many. I am traveling our state again this summer. I'm up to about 33 or 34 counties, and I will do it next summer, and the next summer, and the next summer, because of the fact that I believe that it's important for the people of the state, 1.8 million, to believe in their hearts and minds that our university, their university, is so important in their lives. I want to visit with our state citizens again, to look into their eyes, to shake their hand, to wrap my arms around them. Our tour last year was not a one-off. We will continue to do this, as I said, again and again, and our service in this area will never end. I swung by the county fairs and talked with young people who were saving for college by raising and selling their animals. I popped into 4-H camps where children were learning everything from weaving baskets to making sushi. I met county commissioners, mayors, Board of Education members, county clerks, farmers, teachers, parents, and grandparents. In my travels, I realized that West Virginia, and perhaps many of you can attest to this in your own state, is not necessarily a state of big, bustling metropolitan cities. We heard that just about Montana. Nor are we a state of big businesses, but we are a state of big ideas. And it is a network of small businesses and small communities that create those big opportunities and those big ideas. Traveling and talking to people also help remind both the university and the state of the powerful bond that unites us. And as I saw very clearly over my state extension, you are the glue that cements that bond. I'm sure that rings true for many of you here today. Simply put, our land-grant universities belong to the people. They are the people's university, and land-grant universities have a responsibility to empower each and every citizen of their state with the ability to rise higher. In West Virginia, we have an extension office in every county. That is 55 offices. As someone who has spent 20 years working in land-grant universities and 35 years as university president, I believe that the way West Virginia University is redefining engagement for the 21st century can serve as a national model for connecting universities in their constituencies. While many of our nation's cooperative extension offices will reside in university agricultural programs, West Virginia University Extension is a freestanding college within itself. And therefore, it is able to move across the spectrum of the university without any encumbrances and has an expectation to do so. It is that collaborative power that enables extension to reach out so effectively. For all of us, it is vital that we help position extension toward one simple and powerful calling: to improve people's lives. To do that, we must put aside personal agendas. We must break down these awful silos in universities and work side by side toward that goal. This means professors and officials in academia leaving their labs and cozy offices to work hand in hand with the farmers knee-deep in dirt. This means making our world-class engineers and researchers and having them collaborate with volunteer firefighters and coal miners in the rural communities. This means merging technology with tradition, much like the online farmers market concept. This means, and we heard that alluded to earlier, changing the symbol of the university from the ivory tower to the helping hand. This is what extension is all about. As members of the Extension Initiative, we have an opportunity and a responsibility in today's world to move America forward. Think of everything you and your colleagues are already doing for your state and local communities. Think of what we can accomplish if we work together even more closely and effectively. I have seen your work. I know you have great ideas and great talents and great passion for what you do. You understand the importance of community. Indeed, service is the rent we pay to live on this planet, and you live that every day. Americans are crying out for new ideas and effective leadership like never before. That is why I am committed to elevating extension in its service role even further. My county tours remind me that West Virginia's most critical problems require the broadest possible solutions. Across the country, extension services and land-grant universities are uniquely positioned to help us deliver these solutions. Let me end with my journey. My journey started in West Virginia at age 36 as a president. It went from there to Colorado to Ohio State, to Brown, to Vanderbilt, to Ohio State, and has ended up in a full circle. But at Brown, which is the smallest of the Ivy League institutions, and Vanderbilt, which is a great academic institution, both of them consistently ranked among America's greatest institutions, I would wake up every morning and I'd say, what a privilege it is to be here, but I don't know why I am. When I wake up in Morgantown, West Virginia, and know that I have the privilege of being the president of a land-grant university, I know who I am and why I'm there. I'm there to serve. I'm there to make a difference. In my heart and my mind, I know that it is a calling and it's a ministry. And that is what extension is, and that is what all of you are. You are ministers of faith and good. And for that, I am privileged to work with you. Thank you very much.